Well, good morning, everyone out there. Oh, my goodness. So let's just grab the cards and see what we've got going this morning. The first thing that came out, the reading, is about falseness. So this is from the Gypsy card Oracle, about being false. False kitty cats. They got their claws out. So we've got the false ones, again, trying to slow walk things, and having cover, creating a shell, okay, with what they're doing and building the little worker bees, okay, the false worker bees out there trying to run interference for the wealthy, okay? So the energy coming into it is about waiting. You know, the victims have been waiting for so many years, and we're all still waiting for this stuff to move forward. And that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for things to move. Okay? The ship in motion. With things all still up in the air that we're pondering, and we want to get to the bottom of it. Okay? So what's going on today? Malady, the illness. Now, there is a lot of illness. We also know Trumpenstein is quite ill, although he wants to promote himself as the man of steel, you know. He's such a big man, but he is quite ill in so many ways. So when it comes to the illness, we're going to look at the path forward here, where things are moving. Let's see what we have here. The illness, the path forward, they are trying to figure out the next move, what to do next, the next action for the path forward, because they can't hide his ever-increasing illness forever. It's becoming more and more apparent day by day, okay? He's being treated for so many things. Skin cancer. I think he's got the vascular dementia going on, heart difficulties. So we see him trying to walk. He's had many strokes. So there's just a plethora of illnesses going on in that decrepit body. So the challenge is, the White House. Challenge is the presidency and the president himself. The history, they're delving into this. More is coming out on the Epstein files, the history. Also, the history that Jack Smith has about, you know, when he stole the documents, what he's doing with that. They're looking at these things for long term. The challenge is the long term, the history, all the things he's been involved with. Now, when I get to history, what popped into is his running a criminal organization for years. Okay, they're no longer allowed to have charities in New York because they stole money from cancer stuff. So they've been nixed from that. But he's been money laundering. We know that when he was almost broke, and this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back with him and Epstein, that there was this mansion Epstein found, and then Trump snaked it out from under him. He was almost broke. He money laundered that to a Russian oligarch, and, was in their pockets. And that fueled his money. So he's been involved in money laundering, and then he's got that big thing that he just lost. He's been appealing it for years about his enhancing properties, you know, and then dropping the thing. And he owes, 500 something million. And he still has to pay, what's her name? I'm so bad with names. You know who I mean, that won the judgment against him for rape. And he still has to pay that. So he's in for having to pay hundreds of millions, which he hasn't done yet. Okay, so that's, all of this stuff is waiting at the door. The presidential things, the history of this guy, the long-term things that he's been involved in for years and years and years and years. It's a challenge. So potential outcome is soldiering. Now, perhaps this has to do with Iran war. It could just be soldiering forward, into his craftiness, into his lies, into his deceit, all the things he's been involved with. Yeah, they're investigating it, the hermit. They're looking into these things. Soldiering forward is what I get with that when it comes to these investigations into his long-term activities. Now, people that have been watching me for a long time know that I have said for years he would go down on RICO charges, running criminal enterprises. Okay, but let's see what we have here. Outside influence, the priest. Is this the last rites? Okay, we're looking at the last rites of this. Turning the back, okay, going forward. And pondering, not liking what's coming, looking forward. I think there are those looking forward to the last rites of this, to see this administration ended. So let me pick up these cards out of the way so I've got a little room, and we'll look at what's under the surface with all of this driving it all. So this is, again, looking at so many elements of what is going on with these guys. Their lies, their deceit, his illness, the soldiering forward, the continuing to try to get to the bottom of things. So what we have is the desires. The desires, we've got the deaths, the endings, and short-term success. Okay? So it looks like his desires, getting what he wants, he's having short-term success with that, but that is ending. Okay? That is ending. When it comes to his getting his way, we have an agreement, really unhappy, and that's key. Now we see a lot of the key people around him. People are bailing. We see a lot of the repugly uglies there are saying they're not running again. They're leaving their positions, so they're freaking out about that. Trump. It's my card for Trump, the star card. You know, he's such a big star in his mind. So that's my card for Trump, has enemies and things done by the dark of night. Now, this could also be about his retribution stuff, but I think in this case, he has active enemies now. Now, we know that Iran wants to take him out. He went after and killed this guy's father, who is now the leader in Iran, the new Ayatollah. And Trump has now become his enemy, and they are wanting to take him out. So Trump has active enemies now. This is about what's coming up again, the reunion, withholding things from what? The public. So they're still actively engaged in trying to withhold the most salient things in the Epstein files. The ones that are just so dark, they're still trying to withhold some of that. We have this empty room now when it comes to those bringing something new, concrete, being anchored in. So this could also be new money. So he's failing with that. They're leaving now. I don't think he's getting offered as many things as he was before. I would say the Saudis are not happy with him now because they're getting bombed by Iran. So I would say, you know, people say, oh, he's going to leave, he's going to run, he's going to go live in Saudi. I guarantee he would not be in Saudi. He has no cachet. They would jail him in a heartbeat, okay? If you've ever been in Dubai, I was there for 6 months in Dubai, and they would not put up with his stuff there. He's no longer got influence. Now he's a useful idiot. So they give him parades, but once he's out of office, he's got no cachet. The last place he would want to live is Saudi Arabia. I can guarantee you that. So we have next coming up, trying to control sweethearts that are looking for help. Okay. So again, trying to keep things under wraps when it comes to anybody that wants to testify about him. You know, he tries to quash everything so they don't have a leg to stand on. Here we come up to Trump again. The old woman, there's no old man in this deck, it's just an old person. New information that is going to be coming to light. So what other ills are we going to uncover by this parasite? About this parasite. A letter. So something else is going to emerge that he's struggling with, again, that he's fighting with, struggling with. Something new is going to come out, some new information somewhere, okay, that he is fighting against, that's going to just continue to upend him. So this is all about his mindset, ruled by the mind, his megalomania. This is my card again for Trump. Trump's megalomania and the wedding, again, trying to suck in others into his web of sin. Okay, so we're looking at that. Faithfulness. We're also looking at faithfulness when it comes to the young women and wanting to bring this forward. But it's not moving quickly. As you can see, it's not in motion. They're standing, waiting to go, waiting to get to something better. Okay? So it's still a waiting game for the victims of Epstein and these wealthy ones. They're still in the midst of the journey, trying to get away with this when it comes to the Epstein stuff. Also, I think it still has to do with his rape. He's got to pay that lady, and my apologies to her because I'm just so bad with names, but you know who I mean. The one he got the judgment. She got the judgment against him, and he owes her millions and millions and millions of dollars. So he's still on the journey, tried to get away with that, but I think that has come to its conclusion as well, and he's going to have to pay. Again, we have the young women, his devil activities, the Epstein stuff that's flowering. So more is coming to the surface on Epstein things, the whole pedophile network. The truth is coming out about the organization, the lovers, those, the whole pedophile network, okay? So the truth about that organization, still working on that. We have those in the positions of power, the Antichrist ones trying to control, and they're there because of the money, okay? They're there because of the money. So those ones in position of power, of, again, trying to control this stuff. Unfortunately for him, though, the house is on fire. Concrete messages are coming out, which are becoming more and more difficult on a daily basis. Okay, the mountain of evidence is coming out. And his house is on fire. It is burning. So, again, not going well for him. There's still so much sorrow, but they do have the evidence in hand about all of those engaged in this, about those in this pedophile network, which is absolutely extensive. So that evidence is there, and, just about the pain that these young girls had gone through and still are going through, and is being, unveiled slowly. I mean, it's like molasses in January. It is moving so slowly. The servants, though, they are mentally restricted when it comes to the direction, okay? So it's becoming more and more difficult for Bondi and Patel, these henchmen, to continue to railroad things, okay? They are really stuck now mentally when it comes to a direction. We're looking at prison. This is the prison of the mind, and hopefully physical prison when it comes to controlling actions, and more communications and conversations are talking about prison sentences, okay? We need to control this action. There needs to be prison, physical prison for these ones, and so more and more conversations are coming up about that. This is what's been sold, the merchants around the world, the crushing wheel. And I just keep coming back to that verse in the Bible that those that hurt young children should have a millstone tied around their neck and thrown in the deepest part of the ocean. So, yeah, this is what's coming forward for these ones, these merchants that have sold these young girls around the world. So this whole network is being unveiled step by step. We have this charging forward, the actions when it comes to service and bringing this to an end, and also looking at who was involved in some of these deaths. Now we had, there were a couple people come forward that had worked in Zora Ranch that talked about young girls that had been murdered and buried on the property, okay? So they are in service to that, charging forward with that action, talking about the deaths, the sacrifices, the deaths, eating of jerky, eating of human flesh of these young victims, okay? So more is going to come out about that. We have the foe, those trying to temper this because it's so painful, okay? The hard-won lessons, the pearl of great price comes out of pain. And so the enemies, the foes, are still trying to temper how bad this is, trying to cover it over. Surprise, that's trying to emotionally run away from the Epstein files, especially the ones with the really young girls, some under the age of 12. There are documents of some of them 8, 9 years old. So there are many, again, even more young. They were saying 13, 14. No, there are some that are even younger than that, very young children. And the death of one baby that was born. Okay. So we have the wife, those engaged with this, what's being handed out when it comes to that knowledge. Things, again, seen through the dark as to what's there, bringing that forward. The consistent about this wealthy waking up. So we are constantly engaged in waking up when it comes to what's going on with these long standing networks. And ones like the royal family, we have Mountbatten, and we have the, what are their names? The very wealthy families that have been engaged in these dark activities for lifetimes. Okay. So more is coming out. Stuff like the Bohemian Forest, when they're engaging in stuff there, the Rothschilds, and all of these very wealthy families that have been engaged in very dark satanic things for lifetimes. Okay? So a message about an action when it comes to those that thought they're above it all, the lords, they try to sweep under the carpet, but more and more is going to come out, arguments about what they've done. Ones like Mountbatten. Trump wants to have his family right up there like the Rothschilds. He wants to become a name, synonymous with wealth and power, and that's what he really just is salivating about, okay? Being Lord of the Manor and beyond it, and I can abuse and use anybody I want and throw them away, okay? So more is going to come out about that. There is a consolation that's going to come out about these abuse of these young women and some protections needing to come into place. So eventually there will be some laws, some things coming out about protection against these pedophile networks. So we're moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of sacrifices of young girls along the way. But it's coming to light. And the good news is there will be some good things taking place later. When it comes to justice, there will be joyfulness when we go beyond their deceptions, okay? So again, there's some protections are going to come out of this eventually. The deception, there's going to be judged, and there will be happiness at that point that this stuff is being unveiled. When it comes to the pedophile, the Epstein things, the fortune, there is the explosion happening on that about the buying and selling of young children to these pedophile networks, okay? So that's explosive about the money or using it for blackmail purposes that's happening, that's going to come out, okay? These ones are going to find themselves on their own. People are going to run away from them. Widower, when it comes to any new actions, will be eaten away. So they're losing their power. They're losing their influence step by step. And we are pondering The monetary stuff still to come out, and the law, what they're going to do with that. And they are not liking the harvest because they are going to find out, again, diving into this really deep, dark thing about child sacrifices. Just the harvest that's coming forward are child sacrifices. And I mean real child sacrifices, as well as just sacrificing their innocence. And that's what the dark is about. That's what the satanic thing is about. It's about corruption of the innocent. Okay? That dark, dark thing, corrupting the innocent. And again, so more of this is going to come out to light. More stuff about Trump, the White House, his frivolity, documents, that he's just been engaged in so much stuff. Okay? More information about the pleasure seekers, the divergent path. Again, these are the wealthy over there. More information is going to come out. The thoughts. This is a tower moment when we get to the depths of information, the depth of knowledge. Okay? This is the tower moment. Their structures are imploding. We are going through now, we're going through that time where the darkness is being unveiled, revealed, and that great division is happening. Those that are going toward the dark will go even more toward the dark, and those of us going towards the light will go ever more towards the light. And the more light that's brought into the planet, then the more the dark is going to get crazy, because the dark cannot understand, nor can they deal with the light. That's why when they leave the physicality of form, they can only go with those of like mindset, those of like consciousness, which is a very, very dark place. Why do they not go to heaven? Because that light burns. Okay? That light is burning. They can't take the light. So that's what's coming up for them. They have to feel the consciousness of everyone they have hurt in life. They have to go through that other person's consciousness. Okay? And that's painful. It's hell for them. So anyway, we've got where we're moving for, stuff is coming overseas, the cheerfulness, seeing what's underneath of it all, what's coming out. As things are overturned, he's in more despair. Again, this is his business, his life, his drama. We see that he's losing influence, business. He's in more despair on a daily basis. The more this amps up, the more stress is there. The Iran bombing is not popular. What Magatonians he had, they're leaving now. They're revolting because of Iran, because he ran and said he's going to be the president of peace. He's not going to have wars. And what's he do? He goes and bombs Iran for no reason. Okay? Other than to have a distraction from Epstein, and because he's being leaned on by Netanyahu because they've got compromise on him. Okay? So all of that is going on. He's getting more and more unhinged on a daily basis, becoming very unhinged the more that this amps up, the more that gets unveiled and revealed about just what a toxic, dark entity he is. Okay? That he's not this shining light, this beacon of brilliance, that he's just absolutely stupid. Like a teacher that had him in the class said he's the most stupid person I've ever dealt with. Yeah, and he was. That's why he always claims about how brilliant he is. he can't claim his own brilliance. He has to claim, well, I had an uncle and he was, you know. You know, his wanting to run the military, and he's bone spurs, had 5 deferments paid for by his daddy. He said he would take any of his children out of the will if they ever went into the military or ever went into any kind of a public service type thing. So all of this is coming out. And so those that he bamboozled for a time about how fabulous he is, and they wanted to believe that he was a great businessman. You know, he's such a great businessman, we want him to run the country. He had, 5 or 6 bankruptcies? And that's who you want to run the country? That's your great businessman? So, I mean, his cons and stuff are coming out. He's losing support everywhere. Businesses are, you know, leaving. The worse it gets, the more he brags about how fabulous it is. So when you hear him bragging about how something fabulous it is, you know it's the opposite. You know it's in the toilet. Okay? So on that note, that's what I get this morning. Some good things are going to come, but it's not in this moment. Okay? There will be pushing, which is good. People are saying he needs to be jailed. There are more conversations about jail time. So that's coming up. He's losing supporters. We're going to be coming into, again, some changes, major changes when this administration is out of power, about protection, about the whole network of pedophiles, the monetary stuff behind it, whether it's physical money that they're making on these or whether they're using it for power, using it to blackmail others, etc. So all of this is in the works to be exposed so that we can flush it down the toilet and bring in something new. You know, we are in the midst of major social change. Now, you can't change things unless you can see it. And it's been hidden under the surface for so long. Well, now it's being dredged up and it stinks. It's nasty. It's dark. Okay? But you can't change it until you can see it. So now we're in the process of moving forward as a society, and the best way to do that is to continue to bring in light. Continue to bring in light. Continue to move forward in that direction. So on that note, I'll leave that here. Thank you for everyone's here that gives a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Subscribers, I do appreciate all of you. And we'll see you online.